Hey, y'all, each week on The Sam Sanders Show from KCRW, we ask big questions and share hot takes about the pop culture we love.
Now that we have YouTube, we don't need any more biopics. If they've been alive such that I can watch them on YouTube, I don't need it.
I don't think that music is getting worse. I think y'all just don't listen to artists who aren't in the mainstream.
Taylor Swift, retire. It's time to retire.
The Sam Sanders Show from KCRW, wherever you get your podcast, and on YouTube. What I've been seeking in adulthood was a certain kind of freedom. Everything that I went through didn't just prepare me for that freedom, but helped me savor it more.
From the San Francisco Standard, I'm Sophie Behrman, and this is Life in 7 Songs. Our guest this week is journalist and fellow podcast host Sam Sanders, who I sat down with at the Aspen Ideas Festival in June. Sam is host and executive producer of The Sam Sanders Show from KCRW. He launched and previously hosted NPR's weekly national show, It's Been a Minute, as well as Vulture's Into It. And all of these shows have something in common besides Sam's voice. They are all about news and culture, which is interesting considering Sam grew up in a very devout household in Texas with strict rules, like he couldn't attend movies or school dances. But knowing and listening to Sam all these years, we knew he'd have a killer list of songs, and of course he didn't disappoint. Sam Sanders, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So Sam, given that religious upbringing that I mentioned, what was your exposure to pop culture like as a kid?
It was an interesting exposure. So my father was Methodist, but my mother was Pentecostal, and she raised my brother and I as Pentecostal. And it was a very, I guess severe is the word, a very severe strain of Christian conservatism. And so we did not do anything that could seem, quote unquote, secular. So we could only listen to gospel or Christian music. We couldn't watch a lot of TV. And so my exposure to pop culture as a kid was always done in secret. I would watch MTV and VH1 when my mother wasn't home. When I began to buy CDs and bring them into the house to listen to, I would sneak them in the house in my underwear. My mom would take us to the mall. She'd go get her dresses or whatever, and my brother and I would walk around the mall, and I would end up in a music store. I'd buy an album. I'd go to the bathroom at the mall, and I would put the fucking CD in the back of my underwear and then take it home. And so my exposure to music, my exposure to pop culture was done in secret like that my entire young life. And I think that's why I'm so obsessed with it, because it was kind of a forbidden fruit. Made me love it more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So your first song that you chose is Janet Jackson's Love Will Never Do. Without you. Thank
Parenthetical.
you. Log pause.
Yeah.
Which you said you chose because of the song and the music video. So talk about both.
Yeah. So I think that Janet Jackson is one of my favorite pop stars ever because she is criminally underrated. I think she could dance just as good as Michael.
Okay.
I think her songs were actually more interesting. And I think she was more of a shapeshifter as an artist than Michael was. And she made so many hits for so long. She was making #1 hits in the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, you know? But I love her, and I chose this song in this video because the video is gorgeous. Herb Ritz directed it. He was a professional photographer, couture photographer, but he made this video for Janet. They're like in the desert. It's black and white. The whole thing feels like a Vogue photo shoot. I remember as a kid saying, she's like Miss America. When I think of like the beauty and promise of like American pop culture, which I think is a superior pop culture across the world, she's it. She's it. And like, you don't get better than this. I almost want to pull it up and show you. Like, it's so pretty.
I haven't actually watched it. So yeah.
Can I
watch
it?
Okay,
Watch it.
Let's
It is just
check it out.
gorgeous. Right? Isn't it gorgeous? Look at her. There's so much in our pop culture DNA that we just assume is part of the culture. It was her. And when I think of the pop culture that I watched secretly as a kid, the hours of MTV, the hours of VH1, the hours of Behind the Music and pop-up video and MTV Unplugged, Janet was the best of it. So yeah, anywho, I could talk about her forever.
What was it like to be a kid living a kind of secret life or a secret identity and then seeing something like this where she's really stepping into her power and womanhood and sexuality? What did that mean for you to see it all on screen come together?
I don't think I understood it yet, but I was living like two kinds of secret lives. Like I was consuming this popular culture that I wasn't supposed to have secretly. I also was gay, and I hadn't put words on it yet, but I knew. And so I was watching these videos from these artists like Janet Jackson as a kid, and I knew that I was like in love with the idea of Janet Jackson, but not romantically. Like she represented a freedom of expression that I think I wanted. And the way she was living and breathing and moving in those music videos and in her music was almost a kind of possibility model. I think that everything that Janet represented in those videos I loved as a kid was what I was secretly like running towards.
Yes. Your next song is Stevie Wonder's Don't You Worry About a Thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why this one?
That was the first CD I snuck in my underwear.
Okay.
I want to say it was like 7th or 8th grade. And I knew that Stevie Wonder was a thing. I had no idea what his music was about, but I was like, let me try. And I remember getting the album home, and I would lock myself in the bathroom for hours, and I would play Intervisions over and over and over again. And it was the first album that I like wanted to shoot straight into my veins.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. And I think the song I picked was Don't You Worry About a Thing. It's the last song on the album. I mean, I could have picked any song on that album. It's a perfect album. It's nice and compact, but that one just, it's got it. It's got it.
Everybody needs a change, a chance to check out the new. But you're the only one who see the changes you take yourself through. But don't you worry about a thing.
What you're hearing in Intervisions and on this track is Stevie's musical liberation. Everyone that was in Motown in the 60s and before, they went to finishing school. They were polished, they were refined, and they were making shiny black pop. Think of the Supremes and how squeaky clean their image was. That was what Motown was doing, and that was the first version of Stevie's career. But he broke free and said, F y'all, I'm going to do what I want. And that expression was beginning to manifest in Intervisions. The way in which he just grabbed his own creativity and career by the horns, I've always admired that. I have recently kind of gone fully independent. The shows that I make now, and it feels good. I mean, I'm not a world-class musician. I'm a fucking podcaster. But the freedom that an artist like Stevie always pushed for and strived for is inspirational.
Let's talk about that a little bit, because you spent the bulk of your career at NPR, which I imagine is an amazing place.
It is. That's where I learned to be a journalist.
Exactly.
I wasn't before I got there, and then they helped me do it,
And then at a certain point, you left.
Yeah, I did.
And I assume you were like, this is not maybe working for me anymore.
Many things were working, right? Like, I don't want to diminish the fact that I was very proud of all the work I made there and made shit that was good. But I hit this point where I was just like, I want to be able to say whatever I want to say and not even think about who in charge of me will say no to it.
And NPR in particular, I imagine, has to be careful.
They're in a tough spot.
Yeah.
I'll never forget, there was this moment when I began to just no. I interviewed Larry Wilmore, comedy writer, perhaps most well-known for giving one of the White House Correspondents' Dinner speeches when Obama was in office. And in this speech, he's making a lot of black jokes because he's black, Obama's black, first black president, etc. And at one point in the speech, he uses the N-word affectionately towards Obama, like, hey, my N. And it was hilarious. The room loved it. Barack loved it. And when I interviewed Larry. I want to talk about that moment
Right.
and what went into it, and we talk about it, and it's this wonderful meditation on politics and race and performance, etc. And at the end, I wanted to do a callback in my goodbye, where I said, "Thanks, my in." I do it. He loves it. It works. But as soon as the interview is done,
Right.
my editor, my producer, and me were all like, "We can't use it." They knew. We can't do it. And I'm just like, I cannot have the rest of my career be a career in which I'm waiting for white people to give me permission to say the N-word to another black person.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got free. I think for a while there was a lot of anger and resentment and tension and who said this and who did that and blah, 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 blah. And then the further I'm away from leaving that place, the more I just realize that this is the nature of things. You know, Stevie's not mad at Motown.
Right.
It worked. It helped him. But he got free.
Part of your path.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Your next song is of and about the church. It's Richard Smallwood's Total Praise.
Oh, it's the best song
Yes.
ever. This song speaks to the way in which my musical education straddled the line between classical and gospel. So at church, we all played by ear. You just had to feel the music and play it and know it and breathe it and feel it. And at school, I practiced classically and studied classically. And more than any other song, Total Praise by Richard Smallwood is a perfect blending of those two modes, classical and gospel. I played it throughout my youth in church. And then when I was finishing undergrad at the University of the Incarnate Word, one of the events of graduation week, it's a Catholic school, so it's a bunch of events, and it's a mass every 3 hours, and it's just, but I had to play at one of them, and I had the head of our music department play Total Praise with me while I played the saxophone in the big cathedral on campus, and I have never been more proud of the way I sounded as a musician than in that moment, because it was just like, it felt really holy and sacred, and I was so honored to have been in a place where for 4 years I could have my two musical worlds kind of meld together.
This song kind of makes me want to cry.
Oh, yeah. Yes,
like all the
it's
time.
just so
and I don't know
gorgeous.
why.
It's just beautiful.
It just taps into something. Does it do that to you?
It does. It does. I'd be playing it in church and I would start crying while playing it. There's this final refrain where the choir just sings, Amen, 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 over and over and over. And it soars and it soars and it gets bigger and it gets bigger. And the thing about the word amen, it usually represents finality. Amen, we're done. But in this song, they sing amen and it feels like it could go on forever. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
You went to a religious college.
Yeah.
What was your relationship like with the church and your sexuality? How did those two play together or not?
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, I remember as a kid, my church being anti-gay. I remember hearing sermons preaching against the ills of homosexuality, but it was the one place that I knew I wouldn't be bullied for sounding queer. And there were people in the church who I was just like, oh, you're gay. You're gay. Everyone knows it. We don't talk about it, but you're gay. And so I don't go to church anymore, but I have a good relationship with my church, and I still love them. And a lot of times, especially in the Black community, some of that homophobia is this weird, disordered form of protection. I know the world's going to see you as a Black man and judge you immediately. They will judge you even harsher if you're also gay. I want to protect you. And it took me years to realize that, but I still feel like the most steadfast love I've ever received in my life has been from those people. I'll always love them.
Can you talk about the year 2002? Because I understand it was a difficult time.
Oh my God, yeah. In 2002, I graduate high school. I had gotten into Stanford and was going to go, but A month after my graduation, my father was hospitalized with what would become end-stage kidney failure that would end up with him being dead by the end of the year. And then in that same summer, my mother had a massive stroke that paralyzed her entire left side. So all of a sudden, this final summer before going off to college, I was going back and forth between two different hospitals taking care of my parents. I remember Thanksgiving of that year. One of my aunts who was there helping out too, she and I had Thanksgiving dinner in the hospital cafeteria while my mother was on one floor of the hospital and my father was on another. It was horrible. It was horrible, horrible, horrible. And I ended up going to school in San Antonio to be closer to my mother and help care for her because I was her primary caregiver after her stroke for about 4 or 5 years.
At like age 18.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. It was a lot.
And that's a lot.
It was a lot. And I think that to take it back to the love of my church, they helped me care for her. My first year, I was living at home and taking care of her and like going to class and coming back. But then I wanted to just like get a campus experience, so I lived on campus. The church paid for a nurse to
Wow.
come help my mother for like 2 or 3 years. They just did it, you know? And then when the nurse stopped coming, other folks from the church just come and help out. But yeah, 2002 was just like the year everything changed. And
Yeah.
I think it was really, really dark for a while. But I remember, I'll never forget, when I was going through all of this, one of the ladies in our church, Sister Sharon, who had the voice of an angel, she took me aside one day and she said, everything you're doing to take care of your family and help out your parents, it's not for naught. And the rest of your life, I guarantee you, you will be incredibly blessed. And I don't know if I want to believe in a God or a world in which blessings are given out like that, but I do like to believe that doing good for the people you love rewards itself.
Making me cry.
Yeah. And so I
Yeah.
it's weird now. I'm 40 and I'm watching friends of mine have to begin to care for their parents. And having been through that then means that so much of my life in middle age is free. You know, I think that so much of what I've been seeking in adulthood was a certain kind of freedom, a freedom to be gay the way I want to be, a freedom to be black the way I want to be, a freedom to have the conversations I want to have. And everything that I went through in those years didn't just prepare me for that freedom, but it helped me savor it more. It makes me more grateful for the peace that I get to have in my life now. Nothing will be that hard ever again. And I'm proud of myself for being strong enough to get through it.
Well, that's what I was going to say is the lesson I'm hearing too, because I'm approaching the age where my parents are, you know, might be going through that soon, is like show up.
Show up. You'll never regret it.
Exactly.
I remember my father was a very quiet man and didn't express emotions. I don't think I ever once in his life heard him say how he felt. I only saw him cry once, and we weren't the kind of father and son that would be like, I love you. But before he went into the hospital for the last time, he had fallen while trying to use the restroom at night. And then I was like, something's up. We have to go to the hospital. And as we're waiting for the ambulance to come, he's like on the floor of the bathroom because I can't get him up myself. He's looking at me, I'm looking at him. And he says, I love you. And I say, I love you too.
Wow.
And once he got to the hospital, I think he was kind of just in and out of consciousness. But my last memory of my father was helping him and knowing that he loved me. It is worth it. It is worth doing everything for that.
Ooh. How do I transition out of this?
That's where you put an ad break in.
And ad break. It is time for a quick break. When we come back, Sam shares some breakup anthems and the stories behind them. Stay with us. Hey everyone, I want to recommend a podcast. Hard Knocks is a show about resilience, self-discovery, and finding meaning after chaos, hosted by Amanda Knox. Each week, Amanda sits down with fascinating guests, writers, thinkers, artists, to explore how we learn, grow, and rebuild ourselves after life knocks us down. Amanda brings humor, honesty, and hard-earned perspective to every conversation, drawing on her own experience of being wrongfully convicted and rebuilding her life. Amanda was a guest on Life in 7 Songs in one of our most moving episodes, opening up about how music became a lifeline during her years of wrongful imprisonment. On our show, she spoke candidly about turning pain into wisdom and also about how we're all so much more than our worst moments. If you liked that episode, you'll love her show, available wherever you listen to podcasts.
I'm Jesse Alejandro Cottrell.
And I'm Emily Dreyfus, and this is Pacific Standard Time.
We have stories from all over the state of California, all the big battles that are happening here.
Prop 50,
Housing affordability,
tech,
and immigration.
and we're really excited to bring you the stories about how California is dealing with what it means to be alive in 2025.
Subscribe to Pacific Standard Time, a new weekly show from the San Francisco Standard.
We'll have new episodes every Wednesday starting November 19th, wherever you get your podcasts.
Your next song
Yeah.
is John Mayer's Stop This Train.
Oh my God, yes.
How come?
In college, I was heavily involved in student government, and I was really close with some of the folks that I was also in student government with. And we had a student government office where there was a big couch and a table, and we all would just like hang out there. In my senior year, John Mayer had released this album, Continuum, and there's this song on the album called Stop This Train.
Had a talk with my old man, said help me understand. He said turn 68, you renegotiate. Don't stop this train, don't for the minute change the place you're in. And don't
John Mayer is a controversial figure in popular music, but I think he can play the damn guitar, and I think he makes really good songs. And this song is all about growing up, moving on, doing bigger things. And the entirety of my senior year was figuring out how I would leave home, because I'd cared for my mother at this point for years. And I knew that if I was going to begin my life in earnest, I had to leave. And so this song in my senior year spoke to all of those emotions. And it's like, it's kind of cheesy. The song is kind of cheesy, but it's beautiful. It's like, stop this train. I want to get off and go home again. I can't take the speed it's moving in. I know I can't, but honestly, won't someone stop this train? And it's like, it's this simple yet profound song, because John Mayer is sitting there singing, stop this train, but the train of our lives is our train and we drive it. I was moving on and afraid of moving on, but I was doing it. And so I look back on this song and what it meant to me. It's like the irony of singing a song like Stop This Train when you're the conductor. I find that beautiful.
Your next song, you said you recently got into vinyl, and this song
Yeah.
is one of your favorite artists on vinyl. It's LaBelle's Isn't It a Shame?
I was never a vinyl person. I was just like, what is the fucking point? But when Beyonce's Renaissance came out, I wanted to get it on vinyl. And so I ordered Renaissance on vinyl. It gets to my house, and then I realize I don't have a record player. So I go record player shopping, and I find this record player, and it's cute, and I spend way too much money on it, but I am now a record person. And in the midst of me becoming a record person, I was drawn to everything Patti LaBelle was doing, because all of her album covers are great. And so this is my favorite song of theirs, because it is a power ballad that sounds like it could be performed in a church. And the three of them have vocals as big as a choir. You gotta hear it. You gotta hear it. Just singing.
It does sound way more than three. It's amazing.
Yes. And like so much of this like vinyl phase of my music appreciation in life is just taking time to appreciate all of the music that is around me and finding things that I would have never found otherwise. The only way that I got into vintage Patti LaBelle was through finding her little fun album cover. And so I'm so appreciative of the way that vinyl collecting has made me a different kind of music consumer. You pay attention to the music more. You have to put the record on the player. You have to turn it over halfway through. You got to put it back in the package when it's done. So this song makes the list because LaBelle and that album and that vinyl and that song represent the kind of intentionality I want to have around music consumption for the rest of my life. Because who knows what the next 10 years of technology will bring for music. Will we end up with like chips in our ears that just autoplay music based on what we're fucking doing?
Oh my God.
It might happen.
Maybe.
Right? But I
Yeah,
want to make
maybe.
sure that in spite of all of that, I keep making time to find LaBelle's.
This song is also an intense breakup song.
Girl, I love a good breakup
Right?
song. I love a good breakup song.
And I know that you had one of your own
I sure
somewhat
did.
recently.
I did. I had a breakup. Speaking of whammies, and it's still, like I was saying earlier, it still wasn't as hard as being 18 with my parents and all their shit. But my mother died in June. And then a month later, my partner and I broke up. And it had to happen, but it was just like a 1-2. And then 3 months after that, one of my shows ended. It was just a year from hell. And a lot of just like quiet time with good breakup songs that really grounded me. I was not a lyric person in my youth. And the breakup and the severity of the emotional anguish of that made me appreciate lyrics in songs even more.
Well, let's talk about your breakup song. It's
Yeah.
Caroline Rose's The Kiss.
Whew. It is one of the songs that got me through that really tough year. So Caroline Rose releases this album that is perhaps the saddest album I've ever heard in my life. It's called The Art of Forgetting, and it's a series of breakup songs, but interspersed between the breakup songs are voicemails from her dead grandmother.
Oh my goodness.
Over the course of her making the album, her grandmother dies. And so she includes all of the old voicemails of her grandma saying, "Hey, how you doing? I miss you. I love you." Da, 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 da. So to hear that album and have that album while I was going through a breakup and the death of my mother, I was like, it's like you made this for me.
Yeah.
It's like you made this for me. And I love most the beauty and simplicity of one of the songs on the album called The Kiss. It's just poetry. She starts out and she says, "Nothing on the street tonight. It's emptiness. Heaven knows I've seen it all before.
Nothing on the street tonight but a burning heart, reaching out and ready to explode. For the kiss, I would do most anything."
And the end of the song has her looping that. And then these weird synths kind of expand and get bigger. And the song just falls into itself. I remember after my mom's death and the breakup, but before the show was canceled, I was just in a funk, obviously. So I drove down to San Diego for a weekend, and I was like, I'm just going to live in my feelings. I booked myself a nice room at a fancy hotel right on the water, and I get to the hotel to have a sad emo weekend, and there's like 2 weddings happening at the hotel. And I'm like, oh my God, it's fine, Sam, it's fine. And there was one night where I just like literally been walking along the sand, watching the seals, just being hella emo. And earlier that day on this little patio deck, there had been a wedding reception and dancing and singing. But that night, I had come back out to that same deck, and I was sitting, playing Caroline Rose, looking over the water, which was so dark blue, it was almost black, smoking a cigarette, being sad. And I was like, oh, the irony of me being here, where a wedding was just a few hours ago, playing a breakup song after a breakup, Isn't that ironic and tragic? But also, isn't all of this so beautiful? The wedding was beautiful. The ocean is beautiful. The view was beautiful. The night was beautiful. The moon was beautiful. And I just had this like epiphany while playing this song. It's like, oh, my grief is beautiful. My grief over these things put me in a space to experience this beauty in a way I wouldn't have been able to if I were happy. And there was just this shift that was brought about in large part because of Caroline Rose and that album and this song. If my grief can open me up to appreciate certain kinds of beauty in a different and new way, then I must also be grateful for my grief. And if I'm grateful for my grief, it hurts a lot less.
Your last song is Fleetwood Mac's Silver Springs. Yeah. How come?
I love Fleetwood Mac. I think that Rumors, obviously we all know, is like one of the great pop albums of our century. I also think that Fleetwood Mac's Dreams is one of those songs that like you could play it for the aliens and they would get it. But even though I love Dreams and Fleetwood Mac, my favorite story of Fleetwood Mac is told through the song Silver Springs because Stevie Nicks wrote it and it was a breakup song. She was dating Lindsey Buckingham, right? And then they broke up. And half the songs are all about their love and breakup and romance and hatred and whatever. But she wrote this one breakup song about that relationship, Silver Springs, and she wanted to put it on one of their albums in the 70s. And Lindsey Buckingham said, no, you can't. And so he doesn't let her put it on there. And she just holds on to the song. And then 20 years later, I want to say in 1996, they get back together for a reunion live show and live album. That's when she performed Silver Spring.
Ooh.
And you see her singing the song, giving a death stare to Lindsey, who has to play and sing the song with her because he's in the band. And you just see her being like, I won. I outlasted you, bitch.
Holding a grudge.
Yeah. And I love the story of that song because it speaks to the strength and the power of patience. Life will be long. Wait it out. You'll probably win.
A little twisted. The sweet, sweet feeling of winning in the end.
Yes. Anger. And it's just like, as someone who works with words, Silver Springs and the story of that song makes me think a lot about what it means to hold on to words for a long time. So much of my youth was informed by scriptures, which are just words that we share over and over and over again across time. And the meaning of the same words can change over time. I love that idea. And I love the idea of like a long life of words. And Silver Spring speaks to that for me. It's also a damn good song.
How are you feeling about seeking love right now?
I'm not seeking it, but if it shows up, cool. I think that, in this relationship that led to the breakup that I was talking about, so much of the energy of that relationship was trying to prove something to myself and to other people. And once that was over, I kind of realized you kind of just got to do what feels right for you. And the path of your romantic life may not look like anything you've seen before. And maybe you don't want to get married. And maybe you don't even want a partner living in your house with you. That's okay. And so now I'm kind of just like out there. I meet people. I'm open to whatever. But I'm telling myself, like, you cannot prescribe what the next romance will be.
Well, and Stevie's also telling us just like, we have time.
We have time. Yeah.
So let's just see.
Well, and, I turned 40 last year. And so much of the big existential question of 40 and entering middle age for me was like, am I going to have a kid?
Yeah.
Do I want kids? I like kids. I'm good with kids. They're fun. I don't know if I want one. And I got to this point where I was just like, do I want a kid because I want a kid? Or do I want a kid because I think I should have a kid? And do I want that type of relationship back in my life again? Having a child is caregiving. I was a caregiver for both of my parents for years. I changed their diapers for years. Do I want to change diapers again? Do I want to have my sleep schedule and my daytime schedule dictated by someone else's needs? Do I want to be that immersed in the care of another person again? And I think the Sam of 5 years ago would have thought even asking those questions out loud was selfish. But now I'm like, no, it's honest. It's honest. And maybe one day a kid will show up, crazier things have happened, but I'm not seeking it. I want everything in my life, at least right now, I want to feel like I'm in an ocean and that the things that come into my life just float to me. My vibe is vibing. Let's just see what happens. Yeah.
Sam, thank you so much for sharing your 7 songs.
Thank you for the conversation. The conceit of the show is brilliant. I just felt embraced by warmth in this entire chat. So thank you.
Life in 7 Songs is a production from the San Francisco Standard. If you enjoyed this episode, you might want to check out my conversation with NPR journalist Mary Louise Kelly, who has also turned to music during some tough career/life moments. Also, if you haven't already, please subscribe and like the show. It makes a big difference for us. Our senior producer is Jasmine Morris. Our producers are Michelle Lands. She also mixes the show, Tessa Kramer and Frank Joe. Our theme music is by Kate Davis and Zubin Hensler. And Jess Hutchison created our show art. Our music consultant is Sarah Tembekshian. Executive producers are Griffin Gaffney, John Steinberg, and me. Special thanks to our studio engineer, Gabe Chenoweth, with the Aspen Ideas Festival. As always, you can find this guest's full playlist at sf.news/Spotify. I'm Sophie Behrman. Thank you for listening, and please tune in next time.